Governor Kristi Noem supports a bill that makes South Dakota the next Republican-led state to ban transgender. PIERRE, South Dakota. A South Dakota legislative committee on Friday approved a bill championed by Governor Kristi Noem to ban transgender women and girls from participating in school sports leagues that match their gender identity. With the Republican governor's full-fledged lobbying, the bill received enthusiastic approval in the Republican-dominated Senate State Affairs Committee, clearing a legislative hurdle that has been a key roadblock to similar South Dakota bills in the past. It was the first bill the committee took up this year as lawmakers try to fast-track it through the statehouse. The High School Activities Association asserted that it already has a policy in place that ensures fair competition. Every Republican on the committee approved the bill, despite warnings from opponents that it alienates and bullies transgender students and exposes public schools to legal action for a political cause that has not been an issue in South Dakota. Proponents say it protects girls' sports from trans athletes who may be bigger, faster, and stronger than their peers. Passage of this bill would directly hurt children, said Jennifer Phelan, whose transgender daughter aspires to participate in school gymnastics. It would directly hurt my daughter and take away her freedom to participate in activities with her peers. As a parent, I don't really care if she becomes an elite athlete, but I want her to have the experiences of being on a team, she told the committee in emotional testimony. If the bill passes the legislature, South Dakota could be the 10th Republican-dominated state to adopt such a ban on transgender women or girls. In two of those states, Idaho and West Virginia, the laws have been halted by federal judges. The U.S. Department of Justice has challenged bans in other states, slamming them as violations of federal law. But lawmakers have used as ammunition the Pennsylvania case of a 22-year-old transgender woman who has had a dominant year swimming for the University of Pennsylvania, as proof that trans athletes possess an unfair advantage over their competition. Allowing males to compete destroys fair competition and athletic opportunities for girls, Rachel Oglesby, the governor's policy advisor, told the committee. Similarly gifted and trained males will always have physical advantages over females. The High School Activities Association asserted that it already has a policy in place that ensures fair competition. The schools evaluate applications from transgender athletes on a case-by-case basis and have only once allowed a trans girl to play in a girls' league. She did not spoil the competition, the Athletics Association has said. Groups representing public schools said politicians are forcing them to choose between violating state law or federal policy. The Associated School Boards warned that schools could lose federal funds if an investigation from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services found them to have violated students' rights. This particular bill does absolutely nothing as far as helping young people, said Diana Miller, representing South Dakota's largest school district. What it is discriminatory, unfair, and it's not necessary. In an acknowledgement that schools were being put at legal risk, the governor's office amended the bill to stipulate that the state would provide legal representation and pay the costs of any lawsuit. Mark Miller, the governor's chief of staff, insisted that the proposed law complied with the Constitution, that other states had successfully implemented similar laws, and the state would prevail in court if sued. Noem last year shied away from signing a similar bill, issuing a style and form veto and arguing that it was flawed because it put the state at risk of litigation and retribution from the NCAA. But this year, she seized on the momentum of a cause taking hold among Republicans and trumpeted her support for protecting fairness in women's sports, as she tries to rehabilitate her standing with social conservatives. From the archives, Governor Kristi Noem of South Dakota targeting barbs at fellow Republicans viewed as mulling 2024 presidential bids. Noem launched a campaign ad this week that claimed she never backed down on the issue. And if there was any doubt that her political ambitions lie beyond South Dakota, the state where she is running for re-election and where the proposed law would take effect, the ad is running on channels nationwide. This isn't about an issue that's really happening in South Dakota. It's a political statement, that's all it is. Roger Tellingweisen, human rights campaign that's led critics to decry the bill as nothing more than propaganda. This isn't about an issue that's really happening in South Dakota, said Roger Tellingweisen, representing the Human Rights Campaign, an organization that advocates for people. It's a political statement, that's all it is. See Audience of One, Republican candidate for governor in Nevada running campaign ad in Palm Beach of Florida. Noem warming to the issue shows the growing cloud of social conservatives in the GOP and their ability to cajole politicians into supporting legislation that discriminates against people. John Schweb, the director of policy at the social conservative group, American Principles Project, praised Noem's bill after last year slamming her for effectively killing the legislation. To see her now coming out with a stronger bill, to see her championing this issue and making it her priority. We haven't really seen anything like that before with Republicans, he said. I think it's a significant moment. From the archives, Sturgis Motorcycle Rally is revving up in South Dakota and is likely to be bigger than last year, despite Delta variant's prevalence.